Hey, my name is Ryan Earnhardt from CreativeSoundLab.tv. Today we're opening up a brand new series called Old Cool Instruments. It's a series where we feature a really old cool instrument and then talk about a recording issue that came to light while we were trying to record that instrument. So today we're going to be talking about the pump organ here on my right, and also an issue that came to light was how to match a microphone to the source. Let's get started. Okay, what you saw was actually the back of this pump organ. It has a fan blade that spins and generates a tremolo-like effect. It's real subtle, but this thing is definitely really cool. The thing is totally air-powered. You have to pump with both feet to keep the bellows supplied. But the idea today is, for instruments that you know nothing about, you literally have to first use your ears and then choose a mic that hopefully will capture the instrument in a flattering way. Have the player actually play some of the material for the song that you're actually recording. I like to think that microphones, you want to round to the middle. So don't round to the low frequencies, don't round to the high frequencies. If something is real dark sounding and kind of muddy sounding, you need to round up a little bit to bring it up towards the mid-range. So let's take bass guitar, for example. We can tell what type of bass guitar that is by listening to the mids and the upper range of that instrument. If we were to do a low-pass filter on a bass guitar, then all we could literally hear was the fundamental. It would be very close sounding to just a pure sine wave. So the harmonics of the instrument are really the fingerprint of that instrument and of the sound. Harmonics of low frequencies go up into the mids and help us identify what we're hearing, even on little iPhone speakers or laptop speakers. But then you have the high frequency stuff. Some upper crunch on electric guitar won't sound right without the mids as well, 1 to 3K. So it's really important that the mids are fairly preserved. That's why I don't like to use a lot of EQ on those mids. But also, that's kind of the glue, that's kind of what we hear first. Our ears are most sensitive to that area. It's the most reproduced area, considering that most all speakers can do mid-range. They can't do the real lows. They often can't do the super highs either. Low, muddy things, round to the middle. Pick a mic that actually is kind of thin on the lows to get a balanced sound. High frequency things, round to the middle. Pick a mic that is kind of on the warm side. Now there's some exceptions to this. I would say kick drum. We actually do want to emphasize that in a way that's not balanced at all. We expect it to be like a super drum, right? Better sounding than real life. In real life, a kick drum sounds kind of splatty, but on a recording, we want to emphasize those things. So there certainly are places that you would break this rule, and this is just the way that I look at it. Maybe you have a different way of looking at it. This organ here, we approached it two different ways. First, I rounded to the middle. I put a pair of small diaphragm condensers, and it really captured a really nice balanced sound. I had a lot of good harmonics in the mid-range. I could really tell the character of the instrument. Now, I also mic'd up the organ with a pair of ribbon mics. Now, those were fantastic. They sounded great. How usable were they in a mix? I'm not really sure. They're almost too big of a sound. So I had to still thin them out with EQ, but it still had a really nice balanced mid-range, is really what I was going for here. So let's have a listen to two examples. The first example is going to be with a pair of small diaphragm condensers, Rode NT55s, and then the second example is going to be with a pair of ribbon mics, AEA N8s. Okay, so I realize that this isn't quite fair. We're talking about two different mic positions here, and also two different ways of stereo recording. So this next example is going to be just a straight A to B comparison of totally different sounding microphones on the same instrument, and we can really hear the difference of how the tonalities of the microphone can help shape the instrument in our mix. All of the microphones in our demos today were plugged into the Warm Audio WA412. And in this example, I'm going to be just moving the ribbon around just to show you the different positions. Obviously, you'll be doing this to the part that is performed for that song, so that's very important. And then find the position that has the most gain, really just the position that you like the best. One position that really stood out to me is the one that was just left of the center of the organ. Okay, so you can hear the difference there. There's a big difference. And all those examples were just, no EQ, no processing. This is just straight out of the instrument into the mic. So you can really see how pairing a mic can really affect the sound. And the less EQ that you can use, the better. As soon as you start to really EQ stuff, you start to get compromises in the sound. It doesn't translate quite as well to the real world. But if you use less EQ or none at all, then you always have a classic sound that tends to translate pretty well. This concept is done by the greats. Al Schmitt says he doesn't like to use EQ at all. He just simply changes out the mics. Rather than adding EQ and having phase shift, you can use mics to get different tones, pair them properly for a good balance and a great mixable sound that hopefully won't need a ton of mixing later on. So these were just some of my thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'll be talking to you there.